So in the 1960s, the Starship Enterprise and its captain, James Tiberius Kirk, played by William Shatner, were going on a 5-year mission that was unfortunately reduced to 3 due to the high demands of viewership in 1960s television. And this left William Shatner, its star, grasping for another place in the universe of Hollywood movie making. If you read his book, Star Trek Movie Memories, the entire first chapter is about his struggles with a divorce, which left him without much cash, and the stream of work that was coming in before had started to dry up. He needed something to do, and today we're talking about the films he made in the 1970s. Some very good, most okay, and some bad. And we'll be talking about the films Impulse, directed by William Grafé in 1974, Big Bad Mama, a Roger Corman production from 1974. Also, The Devil's Reign, directed by Robert Fust. And then finally, William Shatner defeats, or not, a giant infestation of spiders in 1977, directed by John Bud Cardos. These are fun and interesting movies. Obviously, Shatner, every time he was interviewed in the 70s, they barraged him with questions about Star Trek. The show was getting into reruns, so it was gaining a whole new fan base who had never seen it, and Star Trek conventions were popping up all over the place. But until Star Wars paved the way for Star Trek the Motion Picture in 79, Shatner was somewhat in the wilderness. Is this a faulty premise, or would you agree, Ryan? Good to see you.
Oh, I completely agree. Good to see you again, George. Yeah, no, this is a wonderful, wild world of movies we're going to be talking about today, featuring, as I've been saying on X, one of the greatest actors of our time. I mean, this is a guy that I'm glad he's lived so long enough to see his reputation kind of rehabbed over the years. I mean,
Yeah.
he was, for all intents and purposes, like the butt of many, many jokes and stereotypes of his, of his career.
Range. Yeah,
Exactly.
sure.
As kind of like a very bad actor, more, to the point.
Or a
And I think
hammy
that's
actor.
unfair. I think that's completely unfair.
I agree. Well, I would tell you this. I think William Shatner has a lot of interesting range. He's very fun to watch. Whether or not he's like one of the greatest actors, I think is a little bit of a stretch, but he's one of the great media personalities. He's one of the great television personalities of the latter half of the 20th century.
Yes. No, I did not mean that in all sincerity. I meant that as a true celebrity presence. Like, this is one of the great actors, like, that we come to love and cherish. And it was very frustrating for a number of years to see him kind of maligned and derailed as like just like a joke. And I think there's been a true renaissance and appreciation for who he is and what he brought to the table as someone who actually kind of cares. You see him in these movies, and he's for the most part giving it all he's got, because at the end of the day, like, what he's got to put food on the table, and this is what's getting it done for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously there's a lot of other things he did some television films, sort of the format of our show is we usually pick 4. So I guess we could start out with Big Bad Mama, the Roger Corman production starring Angie Dickinson and Tom Skerritt, which is basically a copy and paste model that Corman was using a lot of the early 1920s Depression era gangster. And I suppose, and William Shatner comes along for the ride on a cross-country road trip of mayhem and fun and hijinks as we rob banks and hold up parties and all sorts of other things. And what was Angie Dickinson's name in this?
Wilma.
Good name. Wilma. Yeah, Wilma Cartwright or something. And she
Wilma,
is
Wilma McClatchy is her name.
Wilma McClatchy. And she's got a lot of spunk and a lot of style, and she's going to stand up for what she and her 2 daughters deserve in this world, right?
All while flashing her breasts many times in the movie.
You would have gotten your money's worth in this. And while William Shatner doesn't come in till probably the 45-minute mark of the movie, he does make an impression. He's a unique character, and we get to really see Shatner in action.
Oh yes,
we do. We get to see a little Shatner, him and Angie Dickinson getting together. Ryan, what's this movie about?
So Big Bad Mama, like you mentioned, is a kind of retread of a very popular Corman formula movie, right? There was these 1920s, 1930s Depression kind of average, working class people fed up with society, taking on the system by, robbing banks and making money as they the best way they could by stealing it. And so this was popularized by the Shelley Winters vehicle Bloody Mama, which I believe was the first one that Corman did as a film. I think that was about Ma Barker. And then later done again with more or less the same formula in a film that we both admired and talked about previously, Boxcar Bertha by Martin Scorsese. So this seemed to be a formula that was a winning, repeatable, marketable success story. So what this movie is, it's just as I described. So Wilma McClatchy and her two daughters, two like teenage sort of adult, but not really. It's hard to tell, like late teens, I guess, 18.
Yeah, sure.
Because one of them is about to get married at the beginning of the movie. They
Hope they're 18.
unceremoniously, perhaps, I mean, you never know. This is a almost a different world at this point.
True.
She calls off the wedding because she realizes like this guy's a no good loser. And so she goes on the run and starts bootlegging, because bootlegging was also one of the most popular things to do in these types of movies because it shows as the outlaw culture of the time. Of course, that goes awry, and so then they start robbing banks, and they start doing more and more heists until, of course, the law catches up with them, as it always does in these movies.
Well, I enjoyed it. It certainly has an interesting morality to it. Very much like Boxcar Bertha, there's this sort of like left-wing sort of FDR strain that goes through it. Twice in the film, we get characters who are denouncing the New Deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I guess these people are a force for, a Robin Hood force of taking, what the poor deserve, etc. But it hops all over the place in terms of romantic liaisons. At first, the daughters, the daughters and their mother, they make their bucks by basically swindling swindlers. Yes. So there's a band of drunken sort of VFW guys who pay the girls, take advantage of them, make them strip for them. And so Andrew Dickinson robs them and takes all the money. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And then they rob a scam sort of born again preacher guy. But then they end up robbing a bank and piggybacking off the efforts of other robbers. Tom Skerritt included. His whole gang is murdered by the police or killed by the police. And he hops in with them and becomes Angie Dickinson's lover. And I've always liked Tom Skerritt. I thought he looked handsome in this movie. He's kind of interesting. And quickly, though, once William Shatner enters the picture, Angie Dickinson swaps him for Shatner very quickly. And Tom Skerritt's in a foul mood. So he has a threesome with the two daughters, which was...
That was the moment that I was texting you while I was watching it at the first time. And I'm like, there are so many just WTF moments in this movie. I'm like, what is going on? And all of a sudden, it just engages in this menage a trois with the two daughters. And I was like, okay, well, certainly not going to see this in a movie in 2025. Maybe in a couple of years, we'll get back to something like that. But I don't think we're quite ready for that.
The audience is not exactly asking you to like have a problem with this necessarily, right?
And again, what are their ages? We're not quite sure here.
No. And you'd think that would cause a lot of problems, but then there's a moment where Angie Dickinson, after it's been revealed that during this liaison, one of the girls, the more impressionable and naive girl, is pregnant.
Yeah.
Angie Dickinson's upset, but then later she goes, "Oh, it's okay. We'll work together." And it was interesting because the Shatner character, I think importantly, William Shatner in this, he's very lovable. Kind of, I wouldn't say dumb, but he's like not as he doesn't have the cruel streak of the rest of the gang.
No.
He's not willing to go down with all the other more vile stuff. He's more of a card room cheat.
He's not very sophisticated, I would say, either.
He's not very sophisticated. And there's a moment where he has an issue. They kidnap an heiress at the end of the film. And William Shatner is sort of, he's not all in on that. He thinks it's kind of a bad deal. So he confronts Tom Skerritt and he goes, "Let's put up your dukes. I'm going to fight you over this." The sort of tension between the two of them has been mounting. And Tom Skerritt just pulls a gun on him. And I guess it sort of makes Shatner look foolish. So in that moment, I think we're supposed to think like, oh, William Shatner, he's just kind of a bumbler. And this guy's the real cool customer, right? But then Scarrett goes upstairs and is fooled by the heiress into thinking they're about to have sex, and then she, you know, handicaps him with a hard kick to the crotch, and he looks like a dumbass too. So it's like, what is this just bumbling gang of people? Then at the end, it kind of tries to be poignant in a way, which I felt like didn't necessarily work, but it was also such a fun little romp with just constant shenanigans and goofs that I thought it was worth watching, you know?
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely one that's worth watching, worth recommending for this type of genre, a movie of this era for sure. It's interesting the parallels that you see with Boxcar Bertha, though. I think it's worth pointing out, especially the love triangle dynamic between the lead woman and then the two male suitors. If you can recall back to that, where she initially
Yes.
hooks up with one guy who's perceived as kind of like, oh, this is a kind of like alpha male guy. And then all of a sudden another guy enters the picture, and that guy immediately, recedes into the background, but he doesn't leave. He decides that
Right.
it's still worth staying around, even though you've been entirely emasculated by your woman picking up another guy and bringing him into the picture. You're still going to hang around. So it's interesting that both movies did that same exact, plot idea, which is
They
kind
also,
of yeah.
They also pretend to be rich and rob a gala at a party of a rich person. That was just exactly from Boxcar Bertha. So I'm wondering when I'm watching this, I go, was free love really still a thing? And like by 1974, was that still going on? Or is this just Roger Corman's like leftover 60s impulses that is just like keeping it going? The whole polycule, I guess you would call it now. They didn't have a name
I
for
think
it
the
back then.
latter. Yeah, I think the latter. They just have a core set of like ideas and plot tropes that they're going to continuously recycle into all these movies and basically make the same movie over and over again, but change the window dressing here and there. I mean, how different? I haven't seen Bloody Mama. I would like to see that, but it'd be curious to compare all three of them together and see how much actual difference there are between the three films.
Well, this
Probably not much.
one has a large tonal change in that it's like very much more freewheeling and fun loving than Scorsese's, which ends with our hero, basically a guy who, while not being the primary protagonist, still sort of like the soul of the movie, and that he has a lot of he's tender towards Bertha, and he has political ideals and moral aspirations, and he's brutally, crucified and beaten and murdered by the police, right? And so you're left feeling with that film that there's a sort of poignancy there.
Yeah.
With this, I feel like the leg it does have over Boxcar Bertha is that it's led by a very charismatic star, being Andrew Dickinson, who's terrific in this, very spunky. But it's less, there's less
heavy. It's much lighter.
Yeah.
It's much lighter on his feet. Yeah, it's a much more fun enterprise in total. And I agree with Angie about your comments about Angie Dickinson. She's phenomenal in this movie. She carries it. She makes it work entirely through her charm and charisma. There's something very appealing about her in this role. And I didn't realize, just like I thought about her very differently after I saw Dressed to Kill for the first time, and then now I see her in this movie, and I'm like, what was going on with her career that she needed to keep doing these types of movies? I thought she had a much more kind of respectable career. But
well, I have to say, even though she does have to she's nude a lot. I mean, and by the way, she is beautiful. Still, this is a great role.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I can't speak for how great of a role Policewoman was. I'm sure it was quite the get at the time, but I don't, but this does ask a lot of her in a sort of, in a way, and lets her be a sort of agent of chaos, a strong mother, tough, smart, and it's probably a good role. So if you had to show a little something for Roger, maybe it was worth the trade. But William Shatner, I mean, he's naked too. I mean, he's doing. What's your verdict on the sex scene in the film?
Not good.
Okay.
No, kind of shocked and horrified that I'm seeing Shatner in not the best shape, to be perfectly fair. No offense to him, but this is not the point of his career where he should be taking off his shirt and being in bed. Okay, if this was 1966. He could make it work with his, Captain Kirk physique, but not here. This is no go.
Yeah, I agree. He was looking a little on the pudgy side, I suppose, and doing a lot of rubbing too. A lot of rubbing.
Yes.
A lot of rubbing going on. Anyway,
It's almost I don't know if it's better or worse than Impulse, where we see Shatner in the tank top. That's quite almost on the same level of cringiness, but I'll leave that
well,
up to
that
you
was
and the viewers.
that that was something. And I picked all these movies sort of sight unseen, and I kind of picked them by what I thought would be entertainment value. Now, unfortunately, this film and when we get to Devil's Reign, you'll find aren't necessarily the best showcases for Shatner's talent because he's in them somewhat briefly. Um,
I don't
I
think
don't think
that's
that.
fair, though. You commented on that about the Devil's Reign that Shatner was barely in it. I wouldn't really say that. He's much more of a presence in the Devil's Reign than in Big Bad Mama, for instance, where he is only in like the third act.
You
The
think
Devil's
so?
Reign, I think he's like a major player in the Devil's
Yeah,
Reign.
okay.
Like,
But he makes an impact. I mean, his
yeah,
screen time is somewhat minimal, but he makes an
he's
impact.
like for the first and third act. I think he's there. He's gone for the middle of the movie.
Yeah. But do you want to move on to Impulse? Do you have anything else on Big
Well,
Bad
just
Mama?
a
Go
couple
ahead.
more
Go ahead.
things about Big
Yeah.
Bad Mama. First of all, did you buy the DVD or did you watch it on streaming or how'd you?
No, I streamed it. I did
Okay,
stream it.
I bought the DVD, so they had Big Bad Mama 2 included as well, which was made about 11 years later, I believe. It also features Angie Dickinson, even though Wilma is gunned down at the end of the movie. The Big Bad Mama 2 sequel is like a soft reboot, so she's
Okay.
kind of still alive. The events of the first film didn't quite take hold in the continuity, and it's just much more of a miserable film. It's not really fun or entertaining at all, so I would not recommend the sequel.
Oh, you did what? Oh, 87.
Yes, it has a totally
Wow.
different feel to it. It feels, and everybody kind of has those, even though it's still set in the 1930s, they have those kind of 80s hairdos for the women where everybody looks like they've been
Oh
hairsprayed
boy.
into like oblivion, and it's just
Yeah.
kind of off-putting in general.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay, but I figured just because the Shout Factory DVD though is very cool because you can put it onto like Grindhouse mode, where it will play trailers for other Roger Corman style movies before it
Yeah.
and in between the double feature, and so you'll get like the women in prison or the night nurses trailers and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool in that regard.
Oh, and I see it was directed by Jim Wynorski. So was there enough nudity for you?
In the sequel,
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think there was that much from what I recall. I kind of wasn't paying attention midway to the end because I was like, whatever.
Yeah, sure. I understand. Got it.
But I would recommend Big Bad Mama 1 to people who like this kind of movie. Like, this is something worth checking out and seeing. It's also got Dick Miller in the movie. So,
He's back.
Yeah.
That's
Dick
something we
Miller's
forgot to
in
mention.
number
too.
1,
Yeah.
not number 2, as far as I know.
Oh yeah, Dick Miller was terrific in the first one. I thought he was a lot of fun. It's always great to see him.
That and getting to see, like, anytime you get the protagonist with the Tommy gun going out firing and stuff like that, this is all in good fun.
Absolutely. What was Impulse all in good fun for you?
Impulse was not all in good fun. This is a very, very tough watch. I'll say that.
It is an unpleasant film, I would say is fair. And William Shatner was quoted as saying that, I don't remember why I did that, and I'm sure it was for money. But
do you know how they got William Shatner for this movie?
The guy ran into him at an airport, correct?
Yes, in the Miami International Airport. They ran into William Shatner and they're like, "Hey, do you want to be in our movie?" And he was like, "Oh, okay, sure. I'll do your movie."
Fine. Yeah, sounds good.
Fine, yes. Sounds good.
And
sounds good to me.
I also forgot to mention too that Marcia Lafferty, William Shatner's wife, played the heiress in Big Bad Mama.
Really?
That was William Shatner's wife at the time. She's also in this movie as the hotel clerk that William Shatner flirts with.
Okay.
And then she's in Kingdom of the Spiders too. And she was a beautiful actress. It seems like she really was in a few movies, some shows, but mostly she was in things that William Shatner was in. And she's on Twitter. I actually followed her. She has 350 followers.
350 followers? That's it?
Yeah, she does a one-woman show on stage where she plays Ava Gardner. I guess that's kind of what I got into. But yeah, she's in 3 of these films. Very pretty, seems like a good actress. I thought she was fun as the heiress. That's where she gets the most time to act. In Kingdom of the Spiders, we'll get to her role, which is a very unfortunate one. But Impulse is a film directed by a guy named William Greffet. He has a little accent on the e of his name, and he made a few films. He made The Hook Generation, which was kind of a trip out movie. The Naked Zoo. I don't know much about a Miami housewife who begins an affair with a young author. And then he also made Mako, The Jaws of Death, which I have heard about as a Jaws ripoff.
Yes.
But Impulse stars William Shatner and Jennifer Bishop, who is another actress I couldn't find very much about, but she was in very few films, some television stuff, but seems to apparently after 2 movies after this just dropped off the face of the map entirely. No one knows what happened to her. And I couldn't find any information about her after Mako Jaws of Death in 76. She was just gone. But William Shatner in this film plays the hook. I thought was that William Shatner's a guy who kills rich widows. And I thought to myself, oh, okay, well, that's sort of like a whimsically morbid, maybe this is sort of a black comedy kind of thing, kind of like a Bluebeard. You ever seen Bluebeard with the guy, Richard Burton? And I was thinking it was going to be along those lines, but it's not. It's not necessarily really about William Shatner murdering widows, though he does happen to murder 2 rich widows. Mostly he's just an unpleasant, creepy guy who just is kind of a bad guy. And he stumbles into
it's because of his childhood trauma. So it's actually a trauma, psychological trauma movie about, confronting your inner demons. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It's not actually about any of that.
No, that's kind of in there, but because the opening of the film is in black and white, which is showing us that we're in sort of a flashback. So there's some artistry there. And William Shatner's mother is very much like a Rorschach kind of a thing, is a prostitute who's sleeping with this guy. And he comes out and little baby Shatner comes out and goes, "Mama, please, what are you doing?" And then the guy goes, "Okay, well, he should watch." And then this is obviously perverse. So William Shatner stabs him with a samurai sword, the young Shatner, and he dies. And then
isn't that exactly what not with the samurai sword, but isn't that in Marnie also?
Yes, very similar to Marnie. It's very much Marnie. That's better. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah,
killing
Bruce
Dern.
You comic book nerd, you come on.
I know. It's more like the Bruce Dern murder in Marnie. You're right. But so then anyway, we cut to present day in a very cool opening sequence, I thought, where William Shatner,
with the belly dancer.
Yeah, he's chilling in a club, looking cool as fuck, smoking a cigarette, cool, big wide collar going, and we see this belly dancer dancing, and then it will cut to like still photography shots of like the atmosphere of the room and the belly dancer and show credits, which I thought was kind of neat. I was sort of on board. And then we see that William Shatner is making time with this belly dancer gal, and his rich widow patron, Sugar Mama, is upset and mad at him. And the impulse strikes. I suppose the trauma of him killing a guy makes him strangle this woman to death.
Yeah, that part I don't buy at all. But he is super creepy in this movie. He's very off-putting. He's very just disturbing. But he's not in a likable fashion at all, which is, I think, to the movie's detriment, is that you can do this, you can have this type of storyline, you can have this type of character, but there needs to be some kind of inherent Shatner charm that eases, that ekes through, and it's none of that here. He's just unpleasant from start to finish. He's creepy. He's just unpleasant to be around.
His performance is somewhat good.
Well, his performance here, I want to say, though, is the most like stereotypical Shatner-esque performance, like in terms of what people think of the caricatured Shatner performance of like very just weird mannerisms and kind of like jerky motions and stiltedness and like kind of, always has his hand in his mouth, or there's always some weirdness to it. And that to me speaks of more of like the Family Guy or a Simpsons parody of Shatner. Like that's what this movie speaks to me more of.
I mean, he is acting his ass off to a certain extent, but the plot of the film is basically he kills this rich widow, drives the car, just sends her, she killed her in the car conveniently by a river. So he just puts the car in drive and rolls her down, which is a cool camera angle, by the way. They just kept the camera in the car the entire time while it rolled down this hill into this river and like it fills up with water. So they must have destroyed an entire camera for that shot, which is kind of cool. And anyway, there's no repercussions for this. I thought the whole film would be about him trying to beat the rap of like someone that was on him for murder, but I guess nobody cared. So he gets into this scheme with a rich widow, and then he meets her niece or younger friend or what?
Yeah, they're friends. Ruth Roman and Jennifer Bishop. They're just friends. Yeah. At first, you're like, is this a mother and daughter, or is this a sister? They're just friends, as far as I can tell.
And Jennifer Bishop is a young, beautiful gal, younger, single mom, and she has this really annoying daughter who, looks like a commercial from the 70s, long blonde hair, little pigtails, and little frilly dress, and she likes to go visit her father's grave. And there's a moment in the film where after her and Shatner, because she has witnessed him do creepy, murderous things.
There's a deliberately, intentionally murder people. First degree murder. Like she's witnessed that.
I didn't want to jump the gun because that's the best scene in the movie. But
with the return of Odd Job.
Yeah, with Harold Sakata is great in the film. But there's a moment where Shatner. There's two great ones actually where he acts and it's just like so bizarre. The little girl is like walking by him and he goes, "Will you hang out in a graveyard? That's weird." He just like berates this little girl. The other great moment is he's pretending to be Mr. Nice Guy on a date with the mom, and he bumps into a lady with balloons, like at the zoo or something. Yes. I don't know where they're at, that water park or something. And he bumps into this lady and like she keeps walking, but he goes, "You're a fat, disgusting pig. People like you should be like murdered," or I don't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, "Oh, you should be chopped up and fed. You should be turned into dog food."
Yes.
And then he just keeps walking forward, and the gal was like, "Oh, what was that about?" He goes, "Oh, nothing. It's all good." But you're like, what?
We needed more of that. We needed more of that in the movie, though, because that is the single best scene in the movie. The balloon lady, and the balloon lady does not react at all. She just walks away. Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, okay." Just took her lumps from this guy who's a clear maniac. I guess that was them trying to show he was crazy, but like we get it. Like we saw him.
He's murdering people. Like we get it. He's crazy.
And the worst, most annoying part too is that they spend all this time with Shatner where he can like be upset and like disgusted about committing the murder. Like it'd be one thing if this is sort of like a Place in the Sun, Montgomery Clift deal where he murders somebody, but he like feels really bad about it,
Yeah, feels no remorse.
But he does, but then he keeps being weird.
Does he?
You know what I'm saying? He goes into the hotel room after he kills her and is like, "Oh," like throwing up all over himself.
Have I done?
He's like, "Yeah, what have I done? Yeah, what have I done?" And then like he just kind of keeps going. He's cool. He's flirting with the gal at the deal. Then Harold Sakata comes back into his life and goes, "You owe me money." And then William Shatner comes up with the most elaborate way to kill him. It's a fantastic moment. Harold Sakata walks out of the hotel and Shatner has a noose hanging from the roof waiting for him, and then starts to try to hang him with a noose and like a cantilever, like pulley thing, or whatever right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. So then he runs Harold Sakata over with his car like 3 times.
After chasing him through the car wash, though.
Which was cool. I mean, it's the best scene.
It was. That's absolutely. Interesting behind the scenes stuff. Harold Sakata was almost actually hanged and choked during the filming of that. They did not rig the noose properly. So he was actually choking. And they had to cut the rope in order for him to like not die.
I had read that too, but then we never get a wide shot of him actually hanging. So it's like he could have literally been standing on a stool. Why did you need to hang the guy?
No idea. Apparently someone was shooting it. Maybe it was not during the actual like filming it or something. It might have been like while they were prepping it. I'm not sure, because they in the commentary track, which I dutifully listened to by William Griffey, who is still with us, even though he was born in 1930. He's still with us. Someone shot it on like 8mm film, like a hand cam or something like that. So there apparently footage existed of like Harold Sakata nearly being choked to death while being hanged or something like that.
In the movie Impulse.
The classic movie Impulse.
What did William Griffey?
Filmed in Tampa, by the way. So Griffey was a very much Florida-based director. I was looking at a lot of the other films. A lot of them were filmed in like Miami, South Florida, Tampa. It's kind of cool because it's kind of unusual, especially for that time period. But
And what did you? I mean, how did William Girdler seem to you when he talked? I mean, did he have any?
not William Girdler.
I'm sorry, William Griffey. William Griffey. Sorry.
Yeah, no, he was actually pretty knowledgeable and with it, and it was actually more interesting, I think, to listen to the commentary track than to watch the movie, because he talked about the scene where they dumped the car into the river, and they basically bought like a junk car for like little to no money and painted it whatever color it needed to be and put the camera in the back seat and then dumped it in the river. So there's a lot more interesting kind of like guerrilla filmmaking stories that come from that commentary track than the actual finished product of Impulse, which is not very good.
Did he strike you as normal? Was he realistic about the film? Okay. Because it's a weird movie.
Seems like a cool guy. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like a misfire. I feel like if you watch this enough times, it will probably grow on you. This was the second time that I've seen it. I actually did watch this like a couple years ago, and really? I didn't quite like it then, but I don't think I liked it any more the second time I watched it just recently. So
there was little things about it that I enjoyed, but the overall with Shatner, had he been more like
more on,
I mean, he was good in it. I thought.
More crazy. Yeah, that's what we needed. We needed more crazy, extravagant behavior, not this like kind of like pensive, weird, psychotic, like biting the fingernails and stuff like that. That doesn't do anything.
He never really had much of a plan either. I guess he wants to rob this old lady's safe, but he just kind of meanders around through.
Well, the plan was to get the $10,000 check from the girlfriend. That was the plan.
Right. Which didn't end up
to invest for her, which $10,000 is a lot of money nowadays. Imagine in 1974 giving $10,000 to your gigolo boyfriend to invest for you. That's a lot.
Yeah, he was. I could tell maybe they pitch it to him like this is going to be a psychological drama where you get to show people what you can really do, but it really is this kind of like nasty movie that just doesn't really have any kind of redeeming moral center to it.
No,
really, right?
And you mentioned the opening scene of the movie, which it doesn't justify anything, or it doesn't really explain why he is the way he is. It's just did it need to be a creepy guy that he killed and that was going to make him watch him, have sex with his mom, or what was it going on here? Like, I don't understand that trauma exactly, why they're justifying it that way.
I guess maybe you could justify it more if perhaps he murdered his mom, so then he had like
some by accident or something, like he went to kill the guy and he stabbed his mom. That would have been a worthy psychological, trauma.
Maybe he killed his mom on purpose because she was like, I'll do whatever I want. I want to fuck all these guys. And then William Shatner,
like a Norman Bates situation. Yeah,
exactly. Like to explain sort of his, I guess, misogyny, because he sleeps with the hotel gal, which is an interesting scene because it's his wife, and she knocks on the door and she's like, I hope you weren't waiting long. And he goes, I hope it was worth the wait. And it's like, I don't think that would work for anybody. I don't think that'd be a line that would work at all. Right. I don't think that would be.
I don't think any of the lines in this movie would work at all for anything.
Well, the daughter too is like someone I guess you're supposed to identify with, but she's such an annoying brat. And she's always
like when she just stands in front of the car, the oncoming car, and she's like, I knew you would stop. It's like, no, I wouldn't risk that. You have some homicidal maniac speeding down at you. And then he runs over the dog, which is also the most disturbing part in the movie. And then she's like, oh my God, you killed him.
It's out of nowhere. William Shatner's like, he's probably fine. Dogs, but like he's all shaken up about it and like weird. And I'm like,
dogs lick their wounds and he'll be fine.
Yeah, because like the thing is if this guy has this trauma that makes him want to kill, which is what we're told, then he should like want to kill, but instead he's always put in situations where he like has to do it. You know what I mean? Like where he kind of, in order to achieve his schemes, he has to do it. It's never like he's American Psycho, like teeing up his next murder,
Yeah. Well, speaking of the dog murder scene, that is actually quite disturbing when you listen to the commentary track and you find out that
they kill a real dog.
No, they did not kill a real dog, but they did go to the Humane Society and get a dead dog and put it and film it to
Okay, it
show
was
and
pretty.
insert it. I'm not
I
making
was
this
wondering
up.
because I was looking because I'm like, is that a still photo of a dog just lying down? But then like I saw like the branches and the sun moving over him, so I go, all right, it was just a
They
really
said
good actor
basically
dog.
it was too expensive to get a dog and like inject it with something to make it still, like to medicate it. So they went to the Humane Society and got a dog that they euthanized and just filmed it for however long they needed and put it in the movie.
Okay,
Just
well,
disturbing in its own regard, but
I
whatever.
guess. Yeah, at the end, Impulse Shatner, in a fit of like rage or something, goes to murder the rich widow, and he does. He stabs her in a very prolonged like stabbing sequence where he's like just agonizing over this, and then the mom comes in. And then he just starts drowning her in a fish tank. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and this is already after we think the daughter is dead too. I was like, is this movie just going to end with him just murdering these three people and that's it? But no, the day is saved. The little girl is not actually dead. And she comes back and shoots William Shatner, stabs him, stabs him in the back.
Yeah, I honestly don't even remember. But
stabs him in the back, and then mom is alive, and that's the end.
Gotta love how cheap the movie gets at the end where they're doing the chase sequence where he's chasing the little girl, though. And it's literally just the most plain rooms. Like, that could be a stock room, a closet, whatever. It's just one stock room after another. It's quite fascinating what they did there.
I mean, I thought it was somewhat interesting because they were in a funeral home. When they were running through the cemetery, I was like, oh, I was like, come on. It's like so dark. They don't have enough. There's not enough light naturally, and they don't have any lights, to make it look cool. So it's just like this blue blur. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this movie also does. It would benefit from having a better quality transfer, but I believe the negative was destroyed at some point. So there does not exist like a really high quality original print for this, unfortunately.
Maybe Shatner did that because he said he would burn it if he could get a hold of it. He goes,
would
I
he?
hope they destroy it.
Okay,
yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, he said he wasn't proud of his work in this.
It wasn't Avi Arad though for this one, right?
No, it was no exactly. Yeah, Shatner did it. He burned it won't die because the Shat fans are just. And I was very amused by the DVD cover, which is obviously trying to crib off of just Shatner's in general fame. And it's like a picture of him smiling like this, like so just doesn't tell you anything about the movie at all. Like it would be
that is one of the worst stock cover things I've ever seen, though. Like that thing you sent me. Did you buy that, or is that like
no? I watched it on Tubi, bro. It was on Tubi for free.
Okay, see, I'm a sucker, so I buy all these things, and so you know why I think I watched this last year or the year before? I think it was like a limited edition Blu-ray or something like that you had to order off a special website, and that's where I got this. I can't remember why I found it, but I shilled out the money. So
what was a special website?
It was a Grindhouse Releasing or something like that.
Oh, okay. All
right. I think they had like a special limited edition Blu-ray or something like that. Let me see.
Yeah, it was interesting. And actually, I did buy the Devil's Reign Blu-ray and the Kingdom of the Spiders Blu-ray, which I was happy with my purchase. They both looked nice and had good special features on them.
The Kingdom of the Spiders Blu-ray, unfortunately, came out after I popped for the French Blu-ray edition. Oh. So I have that one.
Yeah, the new Kingdom of the Spiders has 3 commentary tracks.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and they're all interesting. So I listened to them all.
So Impulse to finish up. Yeah, thumbs down. I would not recommend this one to only the most diehard Shatner fans out there.
Or diehard just freaks that just want to see something weird.
Or if you're interested in Florida, historic Florida filmography.
Film history in Florida. Yeah, and also this is also why I do generally like these movies that are really low budget because they don't have a permit to shoot anywhere. They're just out filming like in the real world. So you get a good idea of like what things look like in the 70s. They just walked outside and started filming stuff. So there's a sort of documentary element to it that's always appealing to me. But yeah, just a weird misfire movie. Devil's Reign. I'm kind of curious to hear what you thought about this. This is a film from Robert Fust from 1975.
Yes. Not Robert Faust. Robert Fust.
Robert Fust.
But he might as well be Faust because he's obsessed with Satan and the devil here.
Is that true? Oh, because of this movie, or did he do other devil movies before?
My God, this movie is one of the most satanic things I think I've ever seen.
Is that true?
I don't know. Probably.
Well,
But
it's sort of in the company of like, what's that movie with Peter Fonda, the Race with the Devil with Warren Oates? That's kind of a similar thing. Because I think like devil cult stuff was very new in the '60s, and it was kind of like this takeoff of '60s counterculture shit. Like, oh yeah, we're doing devil stuff, very edgy, right? And this guy directed The Abominable Dr. Phibes and Dr. Phibes Rises Again, which that sounds like something you would see.
phenomenal movie. I love The Abominable Dr. Phibes, and I rewatched it after I realized that he had directed this. I was like, oh, I need to rewatch that, and I watched it. It's just such a beautiful horror movie. I love that movie so much.
This
Have you
movie
seen
was
it?
widely. No, I have not actually. I'm going to.
Oh,
I hope to see it. This one I feel like is was very maligned at the time when of its release.
oh, I
It was
bet
yeah,
it's messed
heavily
up.
hated.
It's messed
Yeah, it
up,
is.
but it's messed up in all the right ways. Like
I
this
thought it
is
was
such a beautiful, disgusting movie.
it's a great looking movie, and it is disgusting in certain ways for sure. It was a film that was produced by the company that put it out was called Bryanston Distributing Company, which was not officially but widely regarded as a mafia cutout outfit. They'd also released the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I thought this film had a lot of similarities to. There's lots of wide open country spaces, very desolate. Um, but they also released Behind the Green Door and Deep Throat. They were
Hmm.
the guys behind those as well. So actually, Bryanston dried up shortly after this film because its ownership was sued and successfully sued for a lot of money by the federal government for an obscenity charge for the release of Deep Throat. Shortly after, in the '80s, the law was changed so that sort of pornography was more widely viewable via the Supreme Court. But at the time, no one really knew what to do with that movie, and they sued him for a shitload, and they had to fold the company. But this was one of
That's
their
a
efforts.
shame.
Yeah, and I found it to be somewhat interesting. And the thing that was hailed at the time was that it was just boring. I think Ebert even watched it and said it was boring. I didn't find it to be necessarily boring at all. There were sort of long stretches of people walking around. But go ahead. What were your thoughts? What do you think?
So boring is not a word I would use to describe this at all. There is something interesting going on at all times. I think visually, no matter where you are in the movie, it's a very visually appealing, aesthetically appealing movie. It is a movie that revels in its special effects and makeup effects, which are just
Oh yeah.
to a T excellent for this type of low budget independent movie. I mean, this movie, they did they got the melting effect for the melting faces and melting bodies, and they milk it for everything that it's worth, and it looks fantastic. That and talk about, and not to jump to the end of the movie right now, but you can tell they clearly were very pleased with themselves by having the exploding church at the end of the movie that it lingers on for like 2 minutes, just like sitting there after it's blown up, just burning in the embers. Like they clearly were very happy with this. So I kind of respect that and appreciate that. It does not give 2 cents about plot at all. The plot is
No.
all over the place. It jumps you into the plot and you're like, did I miss like the first half an hour of this movie or the first hour, or was there another movie that came before this? But it's irrelevant. Basically, there's like it's kind of like there's an Epstein list of Satan worshipers that the Shatner
Yeah.
family is hiding under their house, and Ernest Borgnine is Satan incarnate who wants the special book so that he can take the orb filled with souls to hell or something like that.
Which, by the way, the Orb of Souls is this sort of urn buried beneath the Satanic Church. A wonderful set with a stained
Yes.
glass window of Baphomet. And the orb is like, from what I could ascertain, or it's like a television inside of I don't know how they did it, but it's a really cool effect of all these souls stuck in this sort of like window within
Yeah.
this large urn. And it's a very neat effect. And they're all stored in there. And yeah, the Shatner family is plagued by, they're trying to get out of the church, but they're not able to. And then dad comes home and he's
Yes. So
melting.
they are they are Satanists. Either it's hard to discern either by their own choice or because of their family heritage lineage, that they're descended from these pilgrims that made a pact with Satan or something like that back in like the 17 or 1600s, and so their descendants like are like bound to this curse, or their souls are also tethered to this or something like that. And so they do want out. They're on the run, but they have the special book that has all the people's, ledgers of who's sold their souls to Satan. And Ernest Borgnine needs this in order to like complete the ritual or something.
Yeah, who cares? It's like you had to do something.
Who cares? Exactly. Because who cares when Ernest Borgnine is turning into like a goat monster midway through the movie, and it's like, I'll buy it.
Yeah, it was awesome. His goat makeup effects were spectacular. And it reminded me very much of, this is very much like a Devil Rides Out kind of companion. I think you could watch this as a double feature and be very satisfied.
Yes. Although Devil Rides Out is like 10 billion times better than this.
Yeah, far superior. But, there's a moment where Shatner, where he has to go confront the church at the beginning. And it's a very cool scene where he enters the church and tries to fight against the power of Satan and the people. And it's this like very desolate, like Western town. Like, it looks like a leftover Old West set.
Oh yeah.
And the church is really neat. And all of the adherents, they get their souls sucked out, and then their eyes become black. So they all have these prosthetics that make it look like they have this voidless black eyes, which is eerie and interesting, right?
Oh yeah.
Ultimately, Shatner fails to confront Ernest Borgnine, who he looks great, man. I mean, he looks so cool. His eyes are just wild. Parker Longbow in the chat says Borgnine is wonderfully unhinged, and he is. And
the bushy eyebrows, come on, bushy eyebrows, equal satanic, and it just works here.
But all the robes and the visual of the church, it's great lighting, great set design with these stained glass windows. It's really cool. It reminded me, it's the closest I've seen it in a movie to reading like an old Tomb of Dracula comic book or any of those like 1970s Marvel horror films. And Shatner is subdued, and word gets out to his brother, Tom Skerritt, and his wife, played by Joan Prather, who I thought was very beautiful and compelling, somewhat, who they're doing some kind of weird mind experiment. So I thought there was going to be something involving ESP, but then it never really materializes. And their sort of pal is Green
Albert.
Acres' own Eddie Albert, who is great in the movie.
He's wonderfully ineffectual character for the movie.
But he's nice to have around, though. It's nice to see him in the film. I like.
Oh yeah, I had no idea he was in so many like 70s movies and stuff like that. I was watching The Longest Yard, and he's the prison warden, and he's just always around. It never went away, which is kind of crazy.
But basically, Tom Skerritt has to go track down everybody and figure out what's going on. And you have to admit, there were extended sequences of him just like walking around, which is, I guess, somewhat eerie, but like you could tell they're kind of scrambling for time.
Yeah, that didn't bother me for this movie because the landscapes and the Western town have their own kind of like inherent beauty and charm to it while you're watching it. That to me didn't bother me. Unlike walking around in like Impulse, for instance, where you're just walking around like a badly constructed 1974 funeral home in Tampa Bay, like not interesting to look at. This, at least, if you're walking around this kind of abandoned Western ghost town, there's something to kind of at least take your interest while you're just watching them meander.
I mean, your favorite parts of Scooby-Doo are when they say, let's split up and then just walk around with beautiful paintings in the background, right? I mean, that's always been my favorite. So
exactly.
It's very much like that.
Even in the ghost town, this is like the minor 49er,
Yeah, totally. And Joan Prather is able to read the mind or get sort of a collective consciousness viewing of a flashback to where, now, am I supposed to understand William Shatner, when we cut back to like,
Puritan
17th
days.
century, Puritan days, he is like that's his ancestor that just looks like him, or he hasn't lived forever, right?
No. They're not. As far as I mean, my interpretation is that they're just playing their ancestors for benefit of not having to recast like a million parts,
which is cool and creepy. When we see that.
That's a very common trope for these types of things. I mean, I'm going to use like a TV analogy, but like on Dark Shadows, for instance, when they would travel back in time or do flashbacks to olden days like that, they would often play analogs of their ancestors and stuff like that. So it's not an unheard of thing.
That's what I figured, but at the same time, when I first saw it, like Ernest Borgnine is there, and I'm like, okay, well, he's
I believe though he is different. Corbus Corvus is unique because he is
Yes.
Satan's emissary on Earth, and
Right.
so he may be immortal or something like that.
That's what I had figured. So anyway, that was interesting and sort of well shot. And then I guess some things happen. There's some MacGuffin explaining about the book, and then we enter the final showdown between. Well, first of all, William Shatner is sacrificed to the devil and loses his humanity and becomes a drone, right?
He does, with the pentagram carved in his chest too.
Which is scary. And I
Yeah.
think that if William Shatner, the thing that he does that makes this movie work is that I was at first annoyed because I thought, why not just switch Scarrett and Shatner so that Shatner can be the hero and we can follow him? But at the same time, if you're a viewer who's used to the heroic Captain Kirk, he does play this role where he comes into the town. He's very forthright, though you can tell he's nervous. And if the cult is able to take down heroic, manly, square-jawed William Shatner and, prostrate him on the altar of Satan and brutalize him and basically kill him, right? It makes the stakes a little higher. So I think that's the sort of role he serves, and he's a very earnest character. You like him, you don't want to see him turned into a melting drone, but eventually that's what happens. They destroy the urn, right? Is that how they kill everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, they destroy the urn, and then
But did they? But did they? Because
that's the other thing. The film is the ending is 20 minutes long of people melting,
which is fantastic, though, which is just exquisite. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. They milk in these special effects till there ain't no more to milk. Okay.
They were very happy with that, and I thought, hey, look, sometimes less is more. Okay, but also the melting gag made me like want to vomit in the opening, because it's not that the melting is so gross that I was like, ugh, but it's that there's a close up of the guy in the melting costume melting. And he hasn't reached the final stage of melting where he's just a fake mask and a blob. So you could tell there's a guy there. And in the close up, you could see the makeup like draining up his nose and into his mouth. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that would suck. That's
what makes it so good, though.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, actually the ending, though, I will say the ending of where Tom Skerritt confronts Ernest Borgnine and is like, oh, you've been defeated or whatever. And then he goes, oh, really? And we find out that his wife is stuck in the voided world of the urn. And the final scene as credits roll is her like desperately grasping and pawing at this like void to escape as like rain comes down the screen. I was like, that's awesome. And very scary and cool,
Very disturbing. I mean, there is a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth in this movie. The opening credits, which are also very long and protracted, are all Hieronymus Bosch paintings with the most eerie sound effects. It's not even the music that's eerie. It is a lot of just anguished cries of despair from like souls in hell that are like suffering. It is a very you have to wonder the mindset of someone who made this movie. Like what were they thinking? Like what they must have really relished this topic or this idea.
I'm surprised. Well, they brought in Anton LaVey to be the consultant on the film to make sure.
How many other movies do you know about that have a Church of Satan consultant?
Right, and I know that on the DVD there's an interview with the modern day Church of Satan, who I have to imagine is just some kind of science and facts and logic libtard, right? Am I wrong? Like,
I didn't watch it.
Okay, I didn't either, but like you have to imagine he's just like one of these guys. It's like, oh yeah, bro, Satan is just about sort of like this like libertine thing.
Yeah, it's like the earth, man. It's like getting back to Mother Nature and Wiccans.
It's very much like these LARPing pagans or something. You know what I mean? But I did watch the interview with the makeup artist, which basically he talks for about 2 minutes about how they did the effect, which is interesting, and then he just shit talks everybody in the cast. So he's like, Eddie Albert did not want to be there.
He looks like he doesn't want to be there. Okay.
Yeah, and he goes, William Shatner loves himself more than anybody I've ever met in my life. And Ernest Borgnine complained that he never got paid. So that was quite the cowboy.
You could be right, though,
Quite the cowboy production. But it was one that I'm surprised I don't hear talked about more, because I thought the things that it does effectively were very effective. And
it's got quite the cast. From we've mentioned most of them, but there's even more. So we mentioned Ernest Borgnine, Eddie Albert, William Shatner, Keenan Wynn is in the movie, Tom Skerritt, Ida Lupino. Okay, there's a lot, and we didn't even mention who I did not even see in the movie, and maybe
I didn't
you did.
either.
John
No.
Travolta this is his film debut. I didn't
He
see
must
him.
have been real quick, and then he must have been a guy with black eyes for the rest of the time, because I didn't see him or notice that he was in the film at all.
Now, I don't know how accurate this is from the Wikipedia article, but it says during filming, Travolta converted to Scientology after co-star Joan Prather gave him a copy of the book Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. So
Really?
again, I don't know if that's,
Was
how
Joan Prather a
true.
Scientologist? I looked into her a little bit too. I was interested in her and what happened to her, and
Well, she must
she
have
had,
been,
yeah,
or
she
she was
must, yeah,
really big into L. Ron Hubbard.
yeah, maybe she was a fan of his novels. He is, after all, the most
Perhaps.
prolific novelist of the 20th century.
Perhaps.
Yeah. After this, she was on Fantasy Island a lot. She was on Eight is Enough.
Mm-hmm. It
But
said
she did
she's
very
in
few
Big Bad
films.
Mama.
That's right. Yeah, she is in Big Bad Mama. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of synergy here between a lot of these films.
Well,
Skerritt,
the Tom
obviously, in
Skerritt
this.
connection is probably the biggest one. In that, in Big Bad Mama, they're rivals for the love of Angie Dickinson, and in here they're brothers. So
Yeah, and it was interesting. Tom Skerritt obviously went on to have a relatively solid career. I mean, he's a sort of well-known actor, right? He's an Alien. He's Top Gun.
yeah, what MASH, right?
Yeah, he was in MASH. That's right. I forgot about that. He was in MASH, which I'm surprised it didn't elevate him more as a sort of member of that Robert Altman company with actors like Elliot Gould or Donald Sutherland. Like, why didn't
Yeah.
he kind of keep going on that track and be sort of an indie, or not indie darling, but you know what I mean, like a new Hollywood, guy. But I guess he just sort of palled around in genre for a while before he really kind of made it semi big. But no, this was a movie I thought had a lot of great atmosphere. I would definitely put it on at a Halloween party and just have it on, because there's lots. It's a sort of very visually
It's a
interesting
visual
film.
feast. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a visual feast. There's just so much interesting, just visual ambiance that's present in this movie. Like, you just can't help but you can't turn away. Like, there's just so many. I mean, again, wandering scenes, put those in a separate category, but the rest of the movie, like, there's a lot here to enjoy and appreciate.
absolutely. But I feel like if you're an OG Shatner fan and you love Star Trek, the movie that we watched that you will probably be most satisfied with and enjoy is definitely Kingdom of the Spiders.
Agree 100%.
Shatner is an old school hero. He gets to be his kind of stubborn, cocky, sort of himself. He's an animal veterinarian, if I recall,
Yes, he is.
who has a thing with his wife Marsha Lafferty, who plays the widow of his brother. And there's sort of an odd beat where she calls him, his brother's name by accident, and he gets like all really pissed off. And I was like, is this guy going to be like weird? But it turns out he's basically a normal hero, and he feels a sort of kinship to his brother's wife and daughter. But he also has a little bit of a fling with Tiffany Bowling, I believe, is the actress who plays the out-of-town scientist who's coming to investigate a rash of unexplained livestock deaths at the hands of extremely agitated spiders who are adapting to be super evil and venomous, because in the tradition of basically all of the animal attack films, many of which we spoke about early on in this show, the animals they have been derived of their natural habitat by industry or what, I can't remember what the hell happened here. And so they're lashing out.
Pesticides are the big one for this one.
So they're lashing out.
But it's done in a very even-handed, nuanced way. Like, this is not a movie that a more ham-fisted, heavy-handed way where it will be made nowadays, for instance, would literally show, the DDT being sprayed onto the livestock or the spiders or whatever, and then having a direct response or something like that. It's more or less implied and inferred that this is what is happening, which I think makes it more interesting, that you can infer your own motive for what's going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really liked the movie. I thought it was really well done. It was exciting. There's a lot of great pacing, good characters, great work with wrangling thousands of spiders to walk all over the set, some of which get stepped on or run over by cars. But I guess they went down to Mexico and they bought like 5,000 spiders or something crazy from some spider wrangler and just let them loose. It must have been a nightmare to make this thing. I was very impressed. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Keep going.
I mean, I was very impressed. And so I thought to myself, this John Bud Cardos guy, he's an interesting cat. I'm going to like watch more of his films because this is good. And then I watched The Dark with William Devane and Richard Jekyll. And I was like, okay, that wasn't very good. That was kind of weird and bad. And I go, I'll give him one more shot. And I watched his film, The Day Time Ended, which sucked. Okay, let me tell you. And it's got Marshall Lafferty in it too. Shatner's wife was in this film, which is a miserable movie about like a family that's in a weird looking house in the middle of the desert and aliens come and a horrible stop motion little cute alien walks around. Terrible. But he did have a shining moment with Kingdom of the Spiders, which is really a fun movie and the best time I had watching something on this show.
Absolutely. And RIP John Bud Cardos in 2020. So we lost him only 5 years ago at the age of 91. It's funny, though, if you go to his IMDb page, the first movie that pops up is for what he's known for is not Kingdom of the Spiders as the director, but it's actually for Memento, Christopher Nolan's Memento, as the transportation department. He was a driver on Memento. He worked in the transportation on a lot of movies later on in his career. And so it's just ironic that is what's listed as the first thing that he's known for, is being a driver on Memento rather than directing this cult classic William Shatner movie.
That's really unfortunate. And I wonder if Nolan ever met him or knew who he was.
Probably not.
That's probably not, but that's a shame.
Yeah, I love this movie a lot. This was the most fun to rewatch. So prior to this show, I had seen Impulse and I had seen Kingdom of the Spiders. And so I did not have a pleasant time rewatching Impulse, but I had a blast rewatching Kingdom of the Spiders. And I've recommended this movie to other people and they have also enjoyed it. It's just something very pure and innocent, but also effective and provocative. You know what I mean? Like it's got an edge to it. It's thrilling enough, but it's also kind of good, wholesome fun from this time period. And the spider scenes are very effective. They're very creepy, especially when he's, going down in the basement to flip the circuit breaker and there's spiders covering everywhere and they're falling out of the window on top of him. And yes, he goes in a full Shatner, display apoplexy of like writhing around and screaming. And it's great.
Yeah, it's great. I was like, don't die. I didn't want Shatner to die, but he kept getting bit. I was like, no, don't stop. Get out of there. But,
and it's very scary. Like when you see there's children imperiled, people do die. And you mentioned characters. And this is the movie that has the strongest characters out of any of the four that we've talked about. I think even more than Big Bad Mama, where at least I did. I really felt for like the farmer and his wife that the people that we meet at the beginning of the movie whose calf is first stricken by the tarantulas. Like these people, we actually get to know them. You feel very, very strong connection to them. And when they die, it's like kind of heartbreaking. Like these are real. They feel like real characters, real people. And it's like,
go ahead.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And like you have, it's sort of this, you're in sort of a comfortable Jaws style area, where you have the sheriff, you've got the mayor of town who doesn't want to cancel everything because of the 4th of July parade or whatever. And you have the bar owner of the hotel who has a little bit of a thing for the sheriff, and he dies too because a giant water tower falls on his car because everyone's getting bitten by spiders and sewn up in webs and just lying in chaos all over town. And people are crashing their cars left and right. And it's just mass chaos. And I was impressed with the scale of it. I was impressed with the set pieces. I really enjoyed Shatner's relationship with our lead gal, Tiffany Bowling, because she's got this kind of like early 80s built Playboy model kind of a look to her, you know what I mean? Where she's blonde and tough and strong. And she's got some clever, fun lines. And she's from the big city and Shatner has to woo her with his know-how and country, good looks. And he's a lot of fun.
She's also like portrayed initially as this like kind of feminist, kind of like overly educated, stick up her butt, kind of like not interested. You're a jerk. And Shatner does act like a total jerk to her when they first meet, and she rebuffs him, but comes to realize, hey, he's not so bad when she gets to know him, and they actually have a mutual understanding and relationship that develops as a result.
And I did feel bad though for Shatner's wife, cast in the like the unsung role of
Thankless
this
role.
thankless role of this pining woman who loves Shatner, but then this hotter blonde comes to town. And then what happens to her? She gets bitten and killed by spiders and dies.
But it's like I never understand those types of relationships that exist in movies where the widow of a sibling and then the surviving sibling are expected to have some kind of relationship, romantic relationship. Like, that's just weird. Like, I know that's like a Hunter Biden situation, but
Right.
But that's just, it's very strange, if you don't mind me saying so.
He did feel a certain amount of kinship towards her and like wanting to take care of her daughter,
Well, that's
and
different. Responsibility for
yeah,
taking care of the child in a platonic father figure fashion is not
totally
unreasonable
different.
at all. That's no big
But
deal. But to
the
have
movie
a
does.
romantic relationship with the widow is like just bizarre, in my opinion.
Well, it's sad because she's like pining after Shatner and like hoping that they'll get together so she can have a full family again. And then what happens? Well, she just dies. She gets eaten by spiders, and then the daughter is saved.
Well, so that's
And I
because
just
we can have then Shatner with the scientist lady and the surrogate daughter all be one big happy family.
there you go. But like that's too bad for Shatner's wife. But like there's also I just think about that scene where she dies and she's just covered in spiders, and then they get into the cab of the truck, and there's just a spider on the steering wheel and the dashboard.
Yeah.
There's just spiders all over the place in this movie.
That's
All
what's
over the
great,
place.
though. That's what's
Yeah.
very effective, is that instead of like the 1950s mentality of like tarantula, for instance, which giant mutant spider that attacks the town, it's much more effective and haunting in a more modern setting for death by 1,000 cuts, where there are millions of normal sized spiders that you cannot escape from, that are just infesting everywhere, and they effectively incapacitate this entire town that is cut off from civilization by the end of the movie, encased in spider webs. There's nowhere to run.
I love this scene too. I mean, there's a lot of great moments. Like obviously when they're holed up in the house at the end, the spiders are coming out of the, coming out of the air conditioner vents and all over the place and up through cracks in the wood and through the fireplace. But there's also a great moment too where the town decides to get together and crop dust the whole town with like, poison to kill the spiders. But the spider gets into the pilot's plane, so he's fighting them off, and he flies his plane right into the hangar, and there's a massive explosion, and it's an incredibly well shot scene. They're flying this plane 10 feet off the ground. It's flying towards like 8 people. It's a great shot. And then it flies. Now they're stunt doubles, but it's done very well. And they get out of there at the nick of time before this thing blows up. I watched it like step through it thing by thing. And they like flew a plane into a barn and exploded it. I mean, I was impressed.
No, it's great. It's great. I like this movie a lot. Again, like I said, I've recommended it to people who have also enjoyed it. So that's always the ultimate test at the end, is like, at the end of the day, is like, if you actually recommend this to someone else and they watch it and like it, you're like, okay, we've done good.
Yeah.
Here.
It's a great crowd pleaser. It moves at a good clip. Shatner's charming and fun and brave, and he's got the bravado. And, this is the kind of thing that if you were to say, watch a movie with Shatner that's not Star Trek or whatever, it would be this, because everything else, he just has to be it's kind of a,
he's a goof. He's a goof in most of these other ones. Like, let's be fair.
Exactly.
Especially Impulse. He's a total goof in Impulse. In Big Bad Mama, he's like a bumbling bozo. In The Devil's Reign, he is like the victim of the satanic cult. Here, he is at his most Captain Kirk level of like heroism. Okay, so he fulfills a lot of the criteria for which we expect him to be in a movie, and that is very satisfying by the conclusion.
Yeah, because also
he's womanizing, he's charming, he's got a charm to him. He's got everything.
He's racing his car fast. Like, get in my car, things like that. And, you feel good for him to have this thing, which was, while it wasn't the kind of a picture he probably would have wanted to be in, it was a movie that probably a lot of his fans really appreciated and liked, was a hit. And if you look at what else Shatner was doing, it was like various TV appearances, somewhat throughout the decade. And then he
Columbo.
did a lot of commercials, and there's tons of commercials where you find him. I mean, he did a margarine ad, which was a nationwide commercial, but then I watched a commercial where he was doing an ad for a seafood sale at a grocery store. So, you know, this wasn't like a national ad campaign. It was like probably a tri-state deal for a weekly seafood ad, which you're like, man, you know, you needed the
Well,
cash.
it's sad because you brought up Star Trek movie memories, which I just recently acquired. I read the first chapter. I was hoping that there would be some more anecdotes or information about these movies. There is only
too.
one line of reference to two of them at the end. Is basically like I made a bunch of shit movies, like he names Big Bad Mama and I think The Devil's Reign. It's just sad because I would have liked to hear a little bit more from his perspective on what it was like making these movies. But the entire first chapter is quite a fascinating look at what his life was like after the end of Star Trek, the demise of Star Trek, where he was kind of on top of the world. Talks about going and meeting with NASA while Star Trek was still on the air, being celebrated as this hero. And then the show, not only does the show end, but he gets divorced at the same time. His alimony is based upon the income that he was making while being a highly paid lead of a major television series. And now he's basically broke. He can't get work. And he's going around, driving around the country in this RV camper setup. And he's doing dinner theater along the way, which is like the ultimate insult. It's very similar to what Bob Crane did, the star of Hogan's Heroes. After that show was over, he also went around the country doing, you know, roadside dinner theater productions, which is it's kind of embarrassing, to be honest. I mean, it's sad.
Well, he did a lot to, like, I mean, he just worked his ass off to keep himself relevant and like appear in things and be on talk shows. I mean, he's on Geraldo Rivera. I think he's on Dick Cavett, but every time it's always Star Trek coming back? What are you going to do about Star Trek? How do you feel about the Star Trek conventions? And you can tell he's agitated by that because there's like 3 interviews I found where he goes, well, I'm also trying to, I don't know if I would want to do that again unless the script was good. And I'm on this new TV movie of the week that's really good where I got to act, you know? And I think that, like Leonard Nimoy, he came to the conclusion that, like, I am Captain Kirk. I have to do this and have fun with my persona, and I can't be so serious because, you know, I read a great article in Starlog, one of the first issues where Starlog was basically made to like capitalize on the existing Star Trek fan base. And they talk about Shatner. He was very well thought of as a fine classical actor early in his career. He got lots of plaudits on Broadway. And he was, you have to remember, this is a guy that was coming up in the wake of someone like, Marlon Brando, and everyone aspired to be that way and be respected for being an actor. And he was very much that way. And he became instead this sort of this person that means a lot to people like us, you know, and not so much the critics.
But what's sad though, is that for people like you and me, we appreciate this other output that he created in the vacuum of when he was not doing Star Trek. A lot of Star Trek devotees will have zero interest in these films. They're only about the Star Trek, and that's it. And that's what I don't like, is that you have to appreciate these actors, and I think they appreciate it a lot more. From my personal experience of meeting them at conventions and stuff, if you go up to them and you talk to them about some other random movie that they were in and say, hey, I saw you in this movie and it was great, it was good to see you, they're much more appreciative and want to talk to you a lot more, especially if it's heartfelt and you actually mean it, like I do. Like, they care about that more. It's like, thank you for noticing me. I'm an actor who did other things, like, and that shows them that, hey, loved you in Star Trek. Now I'm gonna be a patron for you wherever you go. And that's how I see a lot of these people. Is like, I want to see you in everything. I don't want to just see you pigeonholed as just on Star Trek only.
Well, I actually had the opportunity to meet William Shatner. I was at a bachelor party in Kansas City, and I woke up the next day and was like, oh fuck. And then like I saw a sign and it was like the Comic-Con's in town. And I was like, well, holy shit. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm going. And William Shatner was there. And I was like, maybe go meet Shatner. But it cost $300. And that was a little too much. I didn't at the time. I'd already spent a significant amount the night before. So I thought to myself, probably can't justify this one. But he did have a big line. And if I were to meet him, I would probably say, Bill, I've loved Kingdom of the Spiders. But he would probably think I was screwing around with him. But I wouldn't be. He's great in it.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah. See, I can say I've been in the presence of the Shat twice in my life. I did not personally meet him or talk to him because, again, the price is way too high. I'm not about spending $200 to $300 about having a fake conversation with these people. It's much more
right.
fun when you go to a convention and you meet like kind of the lower C-level people that you can. There's no entry price to talk to them, and you can have a nice normal conversation. And if you pay $30 to $40 for a picture and an autograph, like that to me is justifiable. But I
Yeah.
did see go to his lecture at the 2004 Star Trek convention in Las Vegas, which we went as a family. I was able to convince my parents to take me, and my brother and I, we both went to that one. And he appeared on stage with Leonard Nimoy, which was very cool at the time.
That's cool.
I don't remember what he talked about, but it was just cool because I remember Leonard Nimoy came out. Like, I think he like interrupted Shatner's talk or something like that. You know, of course it's rehearsed, it's all planned, but he came
Right.
out and he like took off his jacket and he had this shirt that said like #1 Vulcan on the back, and he like paraded around. The crowd went wild. This was the same
Wow.
convention where Kate Mulgrew came out, instead of talking about Star Trek, talked about endorsing John Kerry for president. So that was a
Oh,
fun memory.
geez.
And then
That's
I think it was late 2003, 2023. It was during the SAG strike. He was going around. I don't know if this was a tour or he was just he came to my local town. They did a thing where they showed Star Trek II Wrath of Khan, and then he came out for like a Q&A afterwards.
oh, really?
Yeah. And it was just after he had gone to outer space, and we were in the midst of the SAG strike. And so it was an interesting conversation. I mean, he was in his 90s, but he was still totally with it. And it was an interesting time.
He's an interesting guy. I like his. I'm interested, I suppose, in his music. I listened to I actually own on vinyl the what's it called, the Illuminated Man or something, the Digital Man or something. Someone in the chat can tell me, but yeah, Shatner has it's like a spoken word album, and he does To Be or Not to Be. He also does Mr. Tambourine Man, which is, I mean, a little dramatic, but
sure, very dramatic.
Yeah, he starts like the original Birds song or the Bob Dylan song or whatever is more like, "Hey, Mr. Tambourine."
Is he like, "Hello, Mr. Tambourine Man"?
Mr. Tambourine Man is like what he's doing. He's like, "Me, please, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me." And you're like, why would anyone want to listen to this? But like,
I want to listen to it now for sure.
There's some good stuff.
I don't have that.
Yeah, I have it on vinyl, and he still does music today. He just put out a children's album like last year. It's like William Shatner talking to animals or something.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Something about Shatner spoken word, but never mind.
But I love the Priceline commercials. He's obviously gone on to have a great, and you know what? He was he got to really show his chops and get a lot of respect for Star Trek II, in which he's great. And he got to direct Star Trek V, a movie that I like and think is good.
Okay. It's unfairly maligned, I think.
I think so. It doesn't have the payoff he wanted. I know that, but
it's definitely like, if you're ranking them, it's probably going to be 4th or 5th because the other ones are so good, though. Because in my opinion, I mean, 2, obviously everyone loves 2, but I think Star Trek 3 does not get enough accolades. Like it's quite good. I think Star Trek Search for Spock is like a great movie, almost on par with Wrath of Khan.
Okay, yeah, I think it's good too. I enjoy it. That they recast Kirstie Alley that pisses me off in like a very small way. But like, I get
what I like about it though. What I like about it a lot is that because there's no Spock in the movie, you actually do get to see the other crew members get to do more and speak more and interact more with Kirk and McCoy. Because
true,
I know they're not integral. Sorry, they're not. It's like those original movies focused on the Trinity, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and that's fine. But the other characters do matter, and it's nice that in 3 and 4, particularly, I think they get their due the most. They get to do the most in those movies.
Well, I was just defend Star Trek V. I think that the moment where Bones, they have these sort of like revelations about themselves or like forced flashbacks because of the God thing. Yeah. And Bones like remembers how he euthanized his father. And it's like a very powerful moment and like a good scene. It's well,
disturbing. Yeah.
Let's read some super chats. First of all, I want to thank 1001 Johnny for the super chat. Thank you very much. He says, "Damn, I love this show. Always a pleasure." Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Reggie Zimmerman says, "I agree about engaging actors about other roles they have done. I met John Rhys Davies at an Indiana Jones event, and I was talking his ear off about his work in Shogun, and he was very jazzed about it. That's nice." And then Parker Longbaugh says, "If I met the Shat, I would tell him I loved Tech Wars." What the hell is that, Ryan?
Don't know.
No idea. No idea.
It's like also I met the comic book artist Howard Chaykin. I think I've talked to you about this before at a convention.
Yeah.
Every single person was going up to his booth bringing copies of Star Wars #1 for him to sign. And he literally, the contempt on his face was just, he could not hide it. And he would tell people, "I'm happy to sign whatever, but like, I hate this book. Like, I hate it." And so I went up to him and I was talking to him about stuff that he was currently working on. Like he had done the, oh God, I forgot the name of it. I'm sorry to say. The one where it was like the one where he got in trouble for like, it was like the Islamic one. And then he did the Rough and Ready show, comic book adaptation around that time too. And I was talking to him about that. And he's like, you're probably the only person on earth that I've ever met who actually like read the book. And he was very happy. And he talked to us for like about like, I don't know, 25 minutes, even while other people were coming up and having him sign stuff that he just absolutely detested and loathed.
Oh, that's cool. I actually just read a Howard Chaykin comic last night.
What was the one? I'm embarrassed to say what the one that I couldn't remember.
Yeah. No, I think I might have it. It's like his sort of like Mobius style futurist one. I can't remember what the hell it's called. I have it over on my shelf over there. But I just read, I just got the Epic Collection Moon Knight Volume 1, and he did some work on Moon Knight early on when Moon Knight had a guest appearance in Rampaging Hulk Black and White magazine that are cool. So anything else on Shatner? Anything else on Shatner, Ryan, before we wrap it up here?
Oh, well, some of the movies that he did before Star Trek are also worth watching. I watched The Intruder for the first time recently.
Oh, you did?
Yes, it's excellent. It's definitely worth watching. He is at peak level. Like when you see the classic Shatner from the early 60s, like on Twilight Zone or movies like that, TV shows like that, he looks great. He is at like peak performance. He is very effective in chilling as this very like racial instigator, kind of like devil figure who invades this town and stokes up like the most base emotions in people to stop a school from being racially integrated. It's very effective. It's very chilling. And, you know, it's not heavy-handed or ham-fisted or anything like that. It's actually very emotionally moving.
All right. I haven't seen that. I know Roger Corman thinks very highly of it as a film, that one of his only films that didn't make a profit, that he had a lot of.
Really can't escape a lot of the Corman cheapness. You know what I mean? Like you can still sense that there's that kind of amateurish level to a lot of the other actors' performances, but Shatner's in like a level of his own, a league of his own for that movie.
Absolutely.
He's also in Judgment at Nuremberg, has a pretty substantial ancillary role for that, which is kind of cool.
And I guess I have to get going here, but
okay, sure.
Just curious, our next show, we're thinking about him ahead of time, guys. We always do. We think about him ahead. And I think our next show is going to be the Dirty Harry sequels. So the 4 sequels to Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a big video on Dirty Harry, so hopefully we'll have those out concurrently. And then after that, we're going to it's almost Halloween, guys. It's almost Halloween season for big movie freaks like us. And we're going to do a show on Frankenstein in cinema, culminating with the release of Guillermo's new adaptation, which I think looks good.
I'm very excited for the Del Toro Frankenstein. I think he has a lot to bring to the table for that. And of course, going back all the way to the James Whale Frankenstein is always a welcome treat.
Absolutely.
And we have some big plans for October and for Halloween in terms of horror output.
You guys are going to be very satisfied. You're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a good time.
Have you seen? Wait, we have a comment here, but we should.
Okay.
Have either of you seen the Western remake of Rashomon where Shatner plays the priest? The actor who plays Benjamin Franklin from 1776 was also in it. I have not.
No.
What
I don't even know
that?
What is that? I don't know.
Let's see. I have no idea.
White Comanche, perhaps?
No, I have that on DVD. I have not watched. That's a spaghetti Western where Shatner plays a dual role of both a cowboy and an Indian.
Well, that's interesting. And you know what, too? We could do early Shatner because we didn't talk about the movie where he speaks in Esperanto.
Yes. Oh, also, you should. I mean, I'm picking that up this weekend because Barnes and Noble has their 50% off Arrow video sale going on now, and it's been sitting there. No one wants to buy it, and so I am more than willing to pick up the 4K edition now that it's 50% off.
You better buff up on your Esperanto.
Yes, absolutely. Without subtitles, they're just going to figure it out. Just from
anybody who didn't know, Esperanto is like this liberal dream or hippie dream, I suppose, similar to like a metric system where it's like we all had to learn Esperanto so everyone could like speak the same language or some shit. It was like a mix of like Spanish and English.
A universal language of brotherhood, you know?
Yeah, it was a universal language of brotherhood. And of course, everyone's a hater, so nobody wanted to get on Esperanto except for Shatner.
Apparently, Leslie Stevens, this guy who directed the movie. I mean,
interesting.
Whatever. It's definitely on my list. But yeah, this was really fun. I'm glad to have been able to see a lot of these movies that we kind of were putting off. But I mean, I can go without watching Incubus for another 20 years or so. I think I'll be good.
Impulse. Yeah, Impulse. Yeah.
Oh, Impulse. Sorry, not Incubus is the Esperanto one, which I haven't seen yet. Sorry.
I will probably never watch Impulse again. So but hey, let's give a little salute to William Shatner, 93 years old, still going strong. He's a great personality.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time.